Hi, my name is Joy Leeser, and I'm married to my husband Chris for 34 years. We have 4 children. We have 11 grandchildren. I'm back again today to talk about skin cancer awareness. We last were here when we filmed a video talking about my journey with skin cancer, and that was in May of 2018. At that time, we talked of my skin cancer journey that was about 4 years in, including at that point I had had 6 surgeries. So today I'm going to pick it up and just share what has happened since that time. My journey with skin cancer began in 2014. I saw a dermatologist for a little red spot at the end of my nose, and it was precancerous at that time, so we watched it for a few years. I returned and they biopsied, and at that time it was already cancer. What should have been a very simple surgery turned into 5 additional surgeries because the cancer had gone wide and it was very aggressive. So when we filmed this in 2018, I had had 6 surgeries, including 2 plastic surgeries. I thought that was my story and we were done. However, a year and a half later, in another place on the side of my nose, the cancer had moved to, and it required 2 additional surgeries, again, a cosmetic surgery. That one was a little hard to swallow because I had done what I thought I needed to do. I had very close eyes on it, and that's the nature of cancer. I wasn't surprised because visually there was nothing to be seen, but I could detect like a pinprick feeling that I recognized from having had cancer before. So my suspicions were accurate. We proceeded, had 2 more surgeries, and again, I thought that was the end of it. About a year later, on the side of the bridge of my nose, the bones started swelling. And at that time, the doctors did not think it was cancer, nothing to see, and did a biopsy, which came back fine. I was not as convinced because I know my own body and I knew something was changing. In the meantime, I had been hit in the nose by a ball and thought maybe it was from that, so I wasn't exactly sure. However, there came a time in March of 2021 when absolutely I had no doubt something was going on, and I literally had to argue with the doctor to have another biopsy and a CT scan. At that time, it came back that there was a large mass in there. The point that I can't emphasize enough on that is that I was under very good medical care, seeing some of the best doctors in Chicago every 3 to 6 months. And because this part of my skin cancer wasn't anything on the surface, a blemish looking or a mole or anything unusual, it just wasn't caught. However, I'm pretty tuned into my body and it felt different. It did not feel right, and I had to very much advocate. It's a good thing. At that point, I went for another opinion up at Mayo's, and when they saw my records, they expedited not only my appointment to get in to see them, but they were ready to do surgery 3 days later and did not want me to wait. I asked for another week to gather my thoughts because they explained the seriousness of it this time. The mass that was seen on the scan was very large, and I had had a few other things going on that they were suspicious that the cancer was moving. I underwent an 8-hour surgery the following week. The mass was almost from the bridge of my nose to the side down to the nostril, and it had gone into the bone. And they had to remove bone from my skull, use donor tissue, cartilage, and basically rebuild the inside of my nose, as well as grafting skin from my scalp down to the side of my nose. It was a very major surgery. The next morning, the surgeon came in, and I knew this was going to be a big surgery. However, up to this point, we were dealing with stage 1 cancer, and it wasn't melanoma, which, again, most lay people think that as long as it isn't that, we're good. Well, the doctor took my hand and so gently said, "This is stage 4. And I mean, it was shocking. It was shocking that I had been under great care. That this had gone from stage 1 to stage 4. And in that surgery as well, they removed 17 lymph nodes from my neck, suspecting it had metastasized. So it was very surreal. During the next week, as I was recovering, that took every bit of my energy. So honestly, I wasn't able to absorb a lot of this news. And yet, when the drugs wore off, I was grappling with, is this the end of my life? How did this happen? How did this happen? When I was on top of it, the doctors were on top of it. Praise the Lord, it had not metastasized. The lymph nodes were all clean. And at that point, I was sent home to recover for 3 weeks before I began 30 rounds of radiation. So my husband and I returned to Mayo's, where we stayed the duration of almost 7 weeks, and I underwent radiation, proton radiation, daily. At that time, I was sent home to recover before my next 2 surgeries. So at this point, now we are 1 year. Needless to say, I cannot advocate enough for not only early detection, but to advocate for yourself. Pay attention to your body and do not put it off. Had I waited the 6 months they wanted me to wait after that CT scan, I may not be here today.